the wolf pick.
Everybody looked at the stats except me, because I don't actually do that. And everyone was like, "Well, I saw."
I didn't look at the stats either, man. But I just think YongHwa's going to win this game. But anyway, explain yourself. You're on the chopping block like right now.
So I actually think. I mean, I look at Son as a player. I feel like he's got a lot of confidence as a player. And I actually thought that he'd be in a situation where his team was in the lead, as it is now, which gives him, again, I feel like that extra confidence. And Son, I think, is a player who I like his PvP style personally. I feel like YongHwa's PvP style can often be gimmicky. He's done it consistently well this time, this round, or rather this season. But in the past, some of his PvP games have been gimmicky. He's like cannon rushing PvP on that 4-player map that we used to have, that really big map. Do you remember what I'm talking about? That map where it's the corner spawns.
You mean Nimbus?
No, not that one. The other one that got retired, like, God, why can't I remember
like
this
Maze?
map? I hated the map because it was a 4-player map, and I was like, I hate 4-player maps because if you scout the wrong way. Frost.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm cannon rushing
second
on
you
Frost.
said you hated it, I'm like, oh, it's Frost.
Cannon rushing on Frost. I'm like, okay, YongHwa, let's see how well that works for you. I feel like his PvP style is often gimmicky. And I feel like because StarTale's ahead, and I had already thought that in my mind, I was like, StarTale's probably going to be ahead at this point. I love this song, by the way.
Yeah, I like this song as well. The reason I voted for YongHwa is not even because of his stats, not because he's a great PvP player, even just because he's on a roll. He's like actually left his slump. And even though he didn't get out of the round of 32 at GSL like he never does, he was so close, maybe closer than any other time. And I think this time he's pushing that boundary, you know? How you hit, when you're a pro player, a pro at anything, you hit these boundaries, these blocks in your play, you're like, I just cannot get better than this. I feel like he is so close to getting better than that block. And I feel like we may see a resurgence of YongHwa here.
I hope so, man, because I've been watching this guy for almost 4 years in Korea now, since I moved here, and he's always been, in my opinion, like, about to make it, and he just hasn't made it yet. And that's again one of the reasons why I love him so much as a player, because he never quit. A lot of players in that situation have retired and quit. He never gave up.
So many names have gone down and just never returned. Son, he's also been around for a long time. If you look at stats, he's at least 1-0 against Protoss, so PvP matchup, not bad for him either. He did go down against Dark. That is one of his losses, so not the worst loss in the world to take, you know?
Definitely not, Valdez.
Guys, let's jump into this one. It's game number 4 here on Deadwing between YongHwa and Son. Down here in the bottom right in the red, one of our Protoss players here for MVP, it is YongHwa.
And at the top left in blue, it's Son.
Cross spawns. Big PvP map.
Yeah, so we might actually have a longer game, despite what I was saying earlier. Now,
it says something like, oh, it's Monday, of course. Like, it's got to be at least a 3-1. You know, it can never be a 3-0.
Yeah, the Korean fans, of course, always joke that Monday is the big day for ace matches.
Yep.
Because so far in this season, that's been the case.
And then last season, man, we used to have 3 days a week of Pro League: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Monday, the middle day, would always be that day where you just get crazy matches, new builds that would come out. I think that Maze game was played between Sora and Zest on Monday.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Maybe the Reality versus Solky one could have been played on Monday. I'm not exactly sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's just a very famous day for producing crazy games and long series.
Well, let's talk about these two player styles, I guess, a little bit. When YongHwa is not being aggressive and gimmicky and playing like an MVP Protoss, because let's be frank, let's talk about MVP Protosses that we've seen in the past. ST-YOE is on MVP now, one of the most gimmicky Protosses in PvP. Let's talk about Billowy, okay? Let's talk about Tails. Let's talk about Finale.
Yeah,
known as Duck now.
These guys are only one small step below Wolf levels of gimmicky.
Exactly.
So that's pretty high. Pretty high levels of gimmicky, if I say so myself.
These players do a lot of aggressive builds. They are very aggressive. They sometimes, you know, they're the type of players who are going to hide 2 Stargate Phoenix in the mid game. But I feel like out of all of these players, out of all these MVP Prodosses, YongHwa is still at the core an IM Prodoss, like from back in his old days. And he
hasn't quite switched to the dark side yet.
He is the one who will do those builds a lot. He will cannon rush on Frost sometimes, but just because you don't expect it. He's the type of player to fast expand more often, though, out of all the MVP Prodosses. And I feel like we might see like a DT expand out of him here. Maybe like an Oracle into an expansion. I don't think we're going to see on this map a particular Blink because it's so far away to do that kind of pressure.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to, kill your opponent with any type of Blink play. And, as the game gets later on here, you're not really going to want Blink all that much. I really wouldn't be too surprised to just see Stargates come down.
Now, we have a different scouting path for these players, and I want to talk about why this is important. Because San scouted cross spawns, and YongHwa scouted vertical. That means that YongHwa wanted to get an early scout. San wants to know whether his opponent is cross spawns or not first, so that he can actually decide what sort of build he wants to do ASAP.
There you have it. Stargate coming down for both players. So we're spot on today, Wolf. The predictions.
Yeah. Except our predictions for like the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Outside of that, I'm trying to forget those.
I don't think anybody predicted those to turn out the way they did.
Well, there are some Marine King fanboys out there that voted for him against Leenock, I'm sure. Mothership cores are out now, putting on a bit of scouting. This one from YongHwa, just checking the watchtower. The one from San going over to the left.
Valdez, do you remember back in the day, and by back in the day I mean like probably like 6 months ago, when...
Back in olden times.
I'll hold that thought. This Stalker is going to eat an extra shot, so he's going to lose this fight and have to back up. But the Mothership cores looked exactly the same for both Pross, and it was really confusing, and the Time Warps didn't have their own colors.
Oh, yeah, that was really annoying.
Thanks for all those people who made this change possible, that we actually have an even better viewing experience than we had before. So Stargates into Twilights for both players. So basically mirror builds.
I don't know what to think about this. I mean, usually you make a Stargate, maybe you expand off of it, make 3 gates to be safe, something like that. Maybe you make a Robo. Get that Robotech out. It's very important to get it out pretty early in PvP. Get the Observers out. Get your Immortals out faster than your opponent. But both players going for Twilight.
I don't think either player saw those Oracles. Although they both have already blindly prepared because it's a very common opening. And let's see how they respond. Here comes YongHwa's. Going to get cannoned immediately. 2 kills. Will escape. Only a little bit of damage. And here comes San's a bit late, but there's not only a Nexus cannon, but also 2 Stalkers. Just scouts with it instead. Takes less damage, but doesn't get any kills. I don't know if his Revelation actually saw the Blink research or not, though, to be honest.
I can check that for you right now.
Please.
I'm the man in charge this time.
That's right. Oh! That's a huge hit there, delaying San's Nexus with that Oracle.
Okay, so he didn't see it, in fact.
Okay.
With the Revelation.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with this type of opening, actually, to be honest, Valdez, in this matchup. I would say that normally if it was a standard opening, I would say, well, it's reasonable to assume that he might be doing something like that. But I feel like I can almost still say that because San is doing the same thing, so clearly more normal than I'm used to.
Yeah, maybe this is just becoming more of that standard safe build that you see often on the ladder, at the highest level. And maybe just both of these guys playing safe.
This is like both players getting all the tools for map control, harassment, presence, like mobility, I guess is the best way to put it. You've got fast Phoenixes to kind of float around the map. You've got Oracles to scout and do a little bit of harassment. Then you have Blink to catch these flying units and also to move around the map, which is such a big map, and, shut things down. Forge comes up first for YongHwa.
As well as that Robo, right?
I think so.
That. Yep. Yeah, it's going to be up here first for YongHwa. Not being made just yet for San.
San's kind of behind in every way. Even his Nexus is significantly behind because he lost that probe. He lost more probes. He's actually down several probes. His Blink was late. So YongHwa is very significantly ahead in this game.
And I think that just comes from San making a couple of extra gates. Because, with the earlier Nexus, he gets all the earlier tech as well. And just like you said, San is just behind in every single way, literally. And that's not going to bode well for him going into this game, into the mid-game. Of course, in PvP, cross-spawn is going to be really, really hard to attack. So I think we may see a bit of a longer game here, but still, YongHwa is ahead.
Yeah, and San's only advantage that he had is in his Stalkers, but he had that advantage for a short period of time. This is like, this is not going to get anything done. There's an Oracle over here ready to do damage. It's exactly what the Korean commentators are going crazy about. This is actually crazy. This Oracle has so many kills, it's going to get even more. He's just going to sack it. And San's Stalkers that he had in the middle of the map, that one advantage that he had, that faster Stalkers with those extra gates you were talking about, gets totally nullified. He gets nothing done and has to walk home. This is so uncomfortable for San right now. He's going to have to hope. He's going to have to hope for late game PvP where these small advantages become less and less important.
That's really the name of the game here for San. He's going to want to turtle, maybe force YongHwa into an attack and just defend it. He's already got those Immortals out here a bit faster than YongHwa. YongHwa has delayed that a bit here. He has made 2 observers, just looking to get better scouting information, I guess, of his opponent's base first, and also have that 1 observer just in case out on the map.
It's a really good read by San. He knows this is coming. That's why he's making those Immortals. And he's now going to do his own counter Oracle Harass. He just barely avoids that Phoenix. Let's see how much damage he gets done here. But the name of the game really is, can he defend this attack? He only has 1 Immortal. The second one is on the way. He needs time. Guardian Shield's going to have to go up here. And he actually used his Nexus Cannon earlier. Don't know if he has another one. I don't think so. He needs more time for that second Immortal.
Ooh, Oracle does go down, but he gets the exact amount of kills that YongHwa actually did. So trading 5 to 5.
Yeah, and the +1 is done right now for YongHwa, so that's going to make these fights, should he decide to take them now, in his favor, and he continues his upgrades, so he's going to remain ahead. So by the time that San has his own +1, YongHwa is going to be pretty close to +2, if not at it, depending on the Chrono Boost usage, of course. But you see the faster Bay here, as YongHwa is, again, just 1 step ahead in this game. And probably he will be the first to take a 3rd base.
Yeah, already breaking down those rocks, looking like he wants to move towards that direction. I mean, both these players know that it is so hard to attack. I mean, we saw both players kind of poke. Like, San moved across the map with 8 Stalkers, but then he was like, nah, I can't really do this. And then YongHwa moved across the map. He's like, nah, you've already got an Immortal out. Now I got to move all the way back. And it's really just about getting ahead in economy and playing for the late game. As we see San now making that 3rd Nexus faster. So that is one thing that he has made faster than YongHwa. We'll see if YongHwa actually commits to that 3rd Nexus, or if he just tries to go big on, 2 bases. He could also do that. He's adding those gates.
Yeah, and I was wondering about that because I saw him kill the rocks, and there's a few different reasons why you might want to take that base to the right side instead of the base on the secondary high ground to the north of his natural. If you take the base that's on the secondary high ground, the base that kind of links with the natural that's up there on the high ground, then you are closer to your opponent, and also the back of the minerals is kind of exposed to Colossus Fire, for example. But if you're going to take a straight-up engagement, you have the high ground, you can form a concave up there. If you take the lower base, which he is taking here, it's a little bit further away. You can set up into that choke point pretty well, and your minerals are safe. You're not ever going to have to worry about attacks from the low ground hitting up on top of your minerals. There's no way to hit from behind there.
This is such a YongHwa move. He has all the scouting information he could ever want and hope for. He sees the entire base of San. He sees everything that he's going. He sees that fleet beacon. He knows that Tempests are being produced, and he has a 3rd base faster than him. I feel like if YongHwa attacked right now, he could just win the game. He has +2. San does not. San is putting so much. He's investing so much into Tempest right now. YongHwa could have a gigantic army and go for an attack, but he's just making a 3rd base.
And what's really important about what YongHwa is doing is he's stopping Colossus production. He's going to charge Zealot Archon, and I think what we may see is exactly what you're saying, just a little bit later with, +3 charge Zealots and Archons. Leave the Colossus out of this, Let him commit to Tempests that are going to be essentially useless when you stop making Colossi. And just go for an attack with that big charge Zealot army. And, hit that, I guess you could say, like a small timing window where he just doesn't quite have enough Tempests to do that ranged damage against your Zealots. They're just going to crash in. And with Chrono Boost, he can have all of these things very, very quickly. 5 gates coming up right now. +3 can continue to Chrono Boost that. Charge already very far along the way. And this scout right here for San is so important to be able to see all of these things, to be able to know.
That's his first one. I have to point that out. Like, this is his first observer to get into the base and be like, oh, this is what you're doing. Okay. Let's see how San responds. It looks like he is going to continue making these Tempests. He's not going to cancel them. I mean, Tempest and high number are still strong, especially if you can get a high number. I'm just not sure if YongHwa is going to let him get to that number. It looks like he's gearing up for an attack here. His +3 is nearing completion. It's about 3/4 done. He's got a Warp Prism in position as well to possibly go for a drop in the back or just to support and just warp in more units close to the fight. We'll have to see what YongHwa decides to do here. He's already moving out on the map.
Yeah. And, you know, just moving up with this timing I was talking about. +3 very close to being finished. And +3 just being started right now for YongHwa. So, excuse me, for San. He just needs to be careful. As long as he doesn't engage haphazardly, he has a massive advantage, in my opinion, in composition.
4th base coming down here. Not sure if he needs it at this moment in time, but he will put it down.
This is just kind of like a safety net. Should he decide that this is not the engagement he wants to take, you know, of course, going into a defensive location, ooh, that hurts. That he has a fallback point, and he can, of course, with this army, deny a 4th base of YongHwa. Or excuse me, of San. I keep saying the wrong name because when I look at the screen, YongHwa's name is top left, and that gets into my head a little bit. But
yeah, that can get annoying sometimes.
Let's see if he actually comes up here to try to deny this Nexus, because he has to, you know, obviously commit quite a bit to do that. His Zealots are all going to run up that ramp, and then, you know, his army might get a little bit split.
See a Dark Shrine coming down here, and that's so important. If you look at San's observers, he's only got 1. And where is that observer? I'm going to check right now. It was just in the main base, and it's still in the main base. So it is not with this army, and if he's not paying attention, we can see a huge warp into the DTs a little bit later on.
Cancel goes off on that Nexus. Time warps here are really good, but most of the Zealots here of San are unable to fight, and that's a ton of Archon firepower here in YongHwa's army.
YongHwa's got a huge arc here, but again, those Tempests in the back are doing a lot of damage. They finally take down that Colossus.
Yeah. And those Immortals do really, really well against this composition as well. The Immortals in the back uncontested. Tempest still doing that extra damage. If he can get that 1 Archon at the front, that would be huge too. This is actually, you know, a fight that looked a lot closer than it really was. But look at all the gateways that YongHwa has. He's got a huge warp in here. And even though it looks like he might, you know, San might survive here, he's going to lose this base. He already lost his 4th. And look at the supply.
Yep. Looks like YongHwa has done it. He's just got too many Zealots on the ground that San can't deal with. Even though he does have all these Tempests that YongHwa can't deal with, they're not going to be able to kill all these Zealots fast enough. And the Zealots can just get to work on everything on the ground. GG. YongHwa will win that game.
And we're going to an ace match, Valdez.
Monday ace match. Not surprising in the least to me.
No, not to me either. Not surprising, but very exciting.
Yeah, man. And this is the time of night when we get to decide who's going to be the ace match player.
Yep, as you and I are absolutely in control of this, and whatever we say goes. And who are you feeling for ace players here?
I got to look at these lineups here a bit. YongHwa now, he does go up to 5-0. I think he kind of deserves an ace match. He already got 1, and he won it, if you remember, a little bit later on in round 1.
Is he expecting to play a Protoss?
That is the question. I think he's definitely going to want to come out if he's playing a Protoss.
And, you know, that's something to keep in mind. I feel like Curious and Leenock are also solid picks for ace players, of course, going into this. There's a lot of different choices, to be honest, for both teams right now. I feel like there's, on these two teams, like, Life used to be the obvious pick for StarTale-yoe, but now it's not as...
Now they don't have Life.
Yeah, that's the only player that was really, like, stood out so much where it's like, okay, this guy has to be the one.
Okay, map is Overgrowth.
Yeah. I don't think you want to send YongHwa here because I think there's too high of a chance you're going to hit Leenock or Curious.
Yeah, and YongHwa has shown some bad games against Zerg last season, man, just to put it straight. I mean, I think you're right in that. Maybe we won't see him, but he is playing very strongly. He's playing very well, but maybe you send out Lucira. The guy's 3-0 against Zerg. StarTale just has so many Zergs in their lineup, it makes sense that they're going to send out one. Like you were saying, Curious, Leenock, those are two obvious picks. Maybe we see Lucira.
Yeah. I think that's you know, that's who I'd go with. Lucira and
maybe
probably,
not Leenock.
Probably Curious. Lucira versus Curious, I think there's a high chance.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one.
It's funny because we very rarely see ZVZ ace matches. Almost never. Almost
I think
never.
we saw like Sulky versus Shine one time.
That's exactly the example that came to mind in my head. And that was a snipe against Sulky, and it worked really well for them. Let's see, guys. It's time for that reveal. I am hyped. I'm so glad that Pro League started again, Valdez.
Yeah, man. We're back in the booth here casting. Very fun. 2 weeks is too long. That's actually the first fan sign that we saw. We didn't actually translate that. I just remembered that. Someone in the audience was like, 2 weeks is too long in between Pro Leagues.
Yeah, way too long. I think everybody agrees. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. The players are on stage. The lights are low. This is the moment.
Moment of truth. Who's it going to be?
Oh, my God.
Lucira versus Alive. Okay.
I saw the glasses and my heart stopped. Well, Alive already beat Lucira today, expecting Lucira perhaps as a snipe.
Yeah.
I think that game was a fluke. I don't think this is a good choice. I think there's so many better players on StarTale-yoe. He already prepared for this player and this matchup. But what if they didn't pick Lucira, and what if Lucira just doesn't play weird?
Lucira was the obvious pick, though. Just he's so good against Zerg, and StarTale just has so many Zergs. You send out Life to snipe Lucira, and he did it once already. I think he can do it again. I wouldn't actually be surprised.
The pick makes sense. Like you can definitely see like the thought process behind this pick. It's a really smart pick, but I don't know if Alive's going to come through. This is really cool. This is really exciting. We're going to see a rematch, guys, of the weirdest game we saw today.
Yeah, it's going to be great, guys. We're going to go to a 10-minute break now. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.